I am the famous American. Let's explore the concept of swear words, curse words, profanity, etc. Now, I have an English degree, so naturally my brain gravitates towards anything linguistic. And recently I watched the little mini-series on Netflix called The History of Swear Words, and I loved it. I love breaking down, understanding where all these words arbitrarily came from and what made them curse words. Like, for example, some curse words were actually first seen in the Bible, and then in this concept of making them, giving holy value to those words, making them biblical, to use them outside of the Bible made them a bad word. Like, that's fascinating, that's interesting. So I very much enjoyed that show. But and this is something they pointed out, and I've been thinking about this too, especially here in American culture. Bad words, as we know them, are starting to fade away. They're losing their value. Like the F word, growing up, to me, like, that was the bad word. That was the worst thing you could say. That was the one you get in the most trouble for. And now, the F word doesn't really hold much value at all. It really doesn't. What does? Well, a slur. Any word used that has power to belittle a person because of specifically their race, ethnicity, their gender, their orientation, etc. That is how you offend someone, by using those words. As far as our standard curse words or swear words that would make a movie rated PG instead of G, or PG-13 instead of PG, or R instead of PG. It's all very arbitrary at this point. If you really want to offend someone with your language, it's not about saying a four-letter word. It's actually about saying a slur. And I think what's going to happen over time, we're going to see more of that. Those words are going to have more values, like the N-word. In my mind, that's the word that's the most offensive to use here in the United States. Like, I can't think of a worse word than that will really shut down the show if you were to say that word, compared to the F word. I mean, there's no comparison between those two. So I think that's interesting. And I think it's interesting too when we look at this from a perspective of censorship, because it used to be that the more conservative side here in the United States, specifically more religious people, were determining what the curse words were, especially knowing that some of them actually came from the Bible. Okay? But now we're seeing that the censorship is less coming from the conservatives, and it's actually more from the liberals. And they are putting more value on those words that belittle minorities. I think that's interesting and fascinating. We should talk more about it. Where? Right here in the comment section, where your opinion matters.